Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MMA Heat podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
What's up, everyone? Jouban here.
So, listen, I just got back from, where was I? San Antonio? Yeah.
San Antonio. Great state of Texas, Karyn Bryant.
It was hot. It was humid. It was everything they expected. But before we get into that fights and stuff, there was some breaking news about Jon Jones.
Breaking news about Jon Jones? Go figure. Yeah, I saw that. You want to give the details on it? It's still kind of coming out now.
So yeah, what I read was that there was an alleged assault in a strip club in April, and that the woman said that he sort of smacked her or something, and then pulled her into his lap and kissed her or something, and then put her in a choke hold. Like I
saw that.
Recounting what I read, so I have no idea what is true. But I did see that they said he paid the warrant fee or whatever, which was only a few $100s, but that this was has been going on a little bit. Obviously, he's maintaining his innocence, but that this was something that actually happened in April that's coming to light now.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, it's as the time that we're taping this podcast is not a ton of details. You just named them all, so it's like hard to jump to conclusions. With that said, though, and I'm really rooting for Jon.
Yeah.
But with that said, it doesn't steer far away from his old character. There's some of the incidents that he's been a part of in the past. You know, he's been a part of with the car wreck, and they found the pills, and it seemed like there was some things going on. And so it doesn't misalign itself with his old character. Yeah. So I feel like there's traces of that coming to the surface again. But, man, it sucks because I've been kind of really applauding him that, he's been staying fight mode, fighting back to back to back, putting on great performances, staying clean. But, you are who you are. So I don't want to jump to conclusions until we know all the details. But it definitely doesn't sound like if this would have happened to GSP, we'd be like, I don't know if I can on this. But similar things have happened already with Jon Jones, so it's hard not to think that it's possibly true. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't want to bury the guy before, like you said, before all the facts are out. I'm just going on a couple of headlines that I saw, on a couple of sites this morning. Agree with you, though. Totally hope it's not true, because he does seem to, have been doing all the right things lately in terms of his behavior. And the last time I saw him before his fight, he just seemed to be in a better headspace and everything. And obviously his fights are going well for him. Like you said, I feel like there's a lot of goodwill towards him where people are rooting for him to, have that just be in the past. So hopefully it's a misunderstanding, or, I hate to say it, but we know that people can try to just use a situation to get some money or, do whatever. So we don't know what the woman's motivation could be, if it's true or not, that kind of thing. So I'll try to reserve judgment, but hopefully it's not true.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not trying to downplay the incident, but in like a legal format or whatever, I think it's a misdemeanor that they threw at him. So it's nothing that's going to really sidetrack his career too much. I don't think, even though he does have, a couple strikes against him, but I don't think it's anything that would put him time away or have him suspended. It's just something that he's going to have to go through the legality part of it in court on his own. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
Well, anyway, let's talk about the fights that did go down this weekend. Like I said, San Antonio was hot.
It was hot over there.
And humid. I went to the Alamo. I could not find Pee-wee's bike.
Pee-wee's bike? What am I missing on that one? I guess I didn't see that. That was some type of Pee-wee's Big Adventure or something?
Yeah. And the bully guy stole his bike, and he tells him, I guess, like that it's down in the basement of the Alamo, and it's like this whole joke. So I took like the obligatory picture outside, and I didn't actually go in the Alamo, but like all these comments are like, did you find Pee-wee's bike? Did you get to the basement? All this stuff, which is very funny and very silly. But one thing that was interesting, I didn't know, they claim San Antonio is haunted. Like there's a lot of ghosts there. Apparently, I don't know if they're ghosts of dead soldiers or what.
That's what I would think.
Ghost tours and things you can do. Some of the hotels are supposedly haunted. Mine wasn't, or I didn't. I would have welcomed a visitor from another time shift or whatever we want to call it, but I didn't see any ghosts. But I saw some fights.
Some good fights. Yeah. Where do you want to start off on these, by the way?
Well, might as well start at the top because, like, it was weird that the beginning started with all decisions. Like, lately I feel like we've seen so many, like, exciting fights right away. And some of them were exciting, but we were like, okay, oh my God, we got, like, 9 decisions or whatever until we got onto the second fight of the main card or whatever. But it's your division, the welterweight division. You and I made our picks before the fight. We both, I guess, went 5-1. We each got one different. I had thought RDA was going to win. You picked Leon Edwards. You were victorious, so why don't you take the lead?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I could try to not pat myself on the back when I answer this. No, but I think, like, the thing that ruled me, that gave me the decision between these two guys is that Leon was just younger and taller. And, like, you looked at it on the thing. Leon's, 29 years old. He's still in his 20s, whatever age he is. To be that good and on this level – and competing with the highest caliber guys in the sport, and still
he's
in his
27,
early 20s.
Alan.
27. That is, I didn't even go pro until I was almost 30 years old. So that's very young. There's a lot of young guys in this sport, obviously, but a lot of these young guys are still trying to figure themselves out. They're good at striking, but they're blue belts in jiu-jitsu, etc., things like that. But Leon, he is putting everything together. He's high level in every area. He doesn't have any holes in his game. And he's got a great body, literally a great body for MMA, being a 6'2" guy with a long reach, very athletic, capable on the ground, very good striking. He's got that left elbow, the same type of strike that I love to utilize on the break. You slide it in there. He does so greatly. And so he has a lot of success, and that's kind of what set it apart. RDA, such a veteran. I know me and you both kind of like him more, probably just knowing him a little bit more. I'm not close to him, but I know, he's a father. He's coming to my gym a lot of times, and I really like the guy. But Leon is just, he's that guy, man. He's a really good fighter, not that exciting on the mic, but when you get him, put him inside the octagon, he's very good everywhere. So that's kind of what set it apart for me, and it played out a little bit like I thought. I thought Leon would test the waters in the grappling, which he did. I thought he would be able to kind of use his range. I didn't know he would have so much success in the clinch. Even though I know he has got that good elbow, which he dropped Gunnar with. I didn't think he would have that much success landing it repeatedly over on RDA. But he looked really good, man. And I'll be interested to see who the UFC does decide to match him up with on his next fight.
Yeah, I mean, your assessment of his performance is spot on there. I mean, he really kind of did everything right. There really didn't seem to be any holes in his game, and everything just seemed to be so fluid for him, and he seemed to be able to land when he wanted to, and like you said, use that range, and RDA had a difficult time trying to get in there. I think Rafael won the second round, but I think that Leon won the others.
I had that one too. Although it was the bloodiest round of the fight, you can't dictate a whole round because of one good elbow that cut him up, and it was a gruesome-looking, bloody ending of the round, but I thought RDA controlled that round more. I agree on that one.
Yeah, so the thing that was getting to me, though, as the fight went on, and usually Rafael is so strong in the later rounds. I mean, he got Kevin Lee out in the 4th round or something, and I expected him, I don't know, how do I want to say this? I just expected the Rafael that I'm used to in the later rounds. And as it got to the 3rd round and the 4th round, I'm looking at Tyron, and I was like, I wonder if this fight was too soon. Because it really wasn't that long ago that we just saw him in Rochester with that Kevin Lee fight. And, it was a fast turnaround for Rafael. He wants to stay busy. He's trying to, get back on the title path or whatever. But as the fight went on, I was like, oh, maybe it was a little too soon. Because going 4 rounds with Kevin wasn't easy. And Leon was just so consistent and just, like, never let up that whole fight. And I it just seemed like, I don't know if that's not an excuse or whatever. It's obviously Leon had a great performance, but I did think in my head if that was contributing at all to Rafael's inability to get off the game that he usually does. I'm not sure if that's really it. We were hoping. I don't want to say hoping because it wasn't hoping for one person to win, more than the other. Just that performance that we usually see from Rafael, and at the end, we kind of were thinking he should have just kind of gone for it more. He sort of stayed consistent with the same kind of approach that he did earlier in the rounds. And as the rounds were stacked up against him, I kind of wanted him to just go for it a little bit more. And we were like, oh, you should try to throw some head kicks and do this and that. And he did land some kicks in the 5th round and things, but they were still kind of lower kicks or body kicks. We were thinking maybe he would have had an opportunity if he had gone upstairs or something. So it really was, I think, Rafael is obviously so good. It's just that, like you said, everything for Leon is on the money right now. And at 27 years old, everything is coming together. But I have a question for you. Because I also didn't really know Leon too much. I got to know him a little bit. He came on the post show with us. Really nice guy. He's, Jamaican born, had a rough upbringing there. His family moved to England. And he basically was saying that how MMA kind of saved his life. Like I'd have been dead or in jail, otherwise because of the life he was leading. But I don't want to say who said this, but another fighter that I was talking to over the weekend was like, yeah, that was a great a good win for him and a great performance over a former champ. But I don't sit around going, damn, I can't wait till that next Leon Edwards fight. Damn, I got to go see that Leon Edwards fight. And I was like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. And it's hard because I've even asked Leon about this. Like, he beat Cowboy Cerrone, Gunnar Nelson, Rafael dos Anjos, and the people only talk about him being on the receiving end of the three-piece combo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Against Masvidal. So it's a weird thing why people aren't tuning into him more, and I don't know what your take is on that.
You know what's funny about that is I completely agree. And he does a lot of stuff that I like. He does a lot of things that I pick up on. Like I said, the elbow thing, his striking style. I like the way he engages. He's not shying away from grappling departments with certain people. Look at it. Well, this guy, although there is a lot of decisions. Take the decisions away. When you look at it on paper, his style of grappling with people, striking people, he's cutting people, he's beating tough guys. Yeah. He's not shying away from any fights. It looks like this would be a guy that you would want to really tune into. But I do agree. There's something about his style that he's not giving us that guts and glory. He's not giving us it's a bit of a wall. It's a bit of a, like, when it's hard to open up and figure out who is this guy. And maybe that's just his personality. You can't fault that from him. You said he came up from a rough upbringing, so maybe he doesn't like to open up. He doesn't necessarily, I don't call people out either. Right. But some people, I guess what I'm trying to say is, some people, when you can't figure out who they are socially, you can figure out who they are from the way they fight. And sometimes I felt like that for a while. I felt like, you know what, when I get inside the octagon, I can show the world this is who I am. Right. I'm a nice guy. I can make jokes. But when I get inside the octagon, that's really what's boiling inside of my heart the whole time. I'm just like, I just want to go for the glory. And with him, even though he's a really good fighter, his fighting and his social, his personality, you really don't know who he is, because he kind of just does enough to win, does enough to beat you up and kind of big brother you in the cage, but not enough in a dominant way. So that's a tough question. I mean, I do agree. I do get it. He's not a guy. I looked it up, and look, I'm not a guy that's big on social media. In terms of, I am on social media, but I don't judge people by social media. Right. Not one bit. But for somebody who's in their second or third main event, who's been in the UFC for a while, who's on like an 8 or 9, whatever.
He's on an 8-fight win streak now.
8-fight win streak, main eventing cards, and all that he's done, the people that he's fought, and he's only got like 20 or 30,000 followers. Yeah. Whereas other people in the UFC who are in the same boat as him, as far as this type of win streak, main eventing cards, these guys are 150, 200, 300,000 followers in the millions. So there is something there that we're picking up on that fans are just not taking to him, personality or fighting wise, and it's really hard to put my finger on the button of why that is.
Yeah, and he's a lovely guy. I was happy to get to know him a little bit on the show. I'd never gotten to speak with him before because I was at his fight in London when he beat Gunnar, but everything happened backstage, and that became the story. And we didn't get him up at the desk there, and he even said, I was like, yeah, it's crazy to me that people aren't talking about you more with these victories. And he said, literally the night he beat Gunnar Nelson, like his phone, there was like no messages from anybody saying congratulations. All the messages were about Masvidal, and all the and he's like, did anybody like notice that fight I had earlier where I beat that dude? That's really, really good, So it's tough. I will say, I think that the personality of maybe, I don't want to generalize and say all foreign fighters, because certainly Israel Adesanya is so vocal on social media and all this, but I don't know if it's just a characteristic of the British mentality that they're just less brash about stuff, other than Michael Bisping, who invented it.
Yes.
Other than Michael, most of the
aside.
dudes. Take Michael out of the equation. Most of them, though, are pretty chill, and they just don't have that same approach that, like you're saying, a lot of the American fighters or something have about being they're a bigger cheerleader for themselves or whatever. But an 8-fight win streak is sort of undeniable, and he's beating amazing people. So he did say, he would love to fight Jorge next. And I don't know if he's claiming, or some people are claiming that Jorge said no or whatever. I don't know if that's even true yet. But he's like, if not that, Kamaru, because Usman's the last person to beat Leon. That was, several years back. Both of them have gone in these huge streaks. Obviously, Kamaru is the champion now. So he's like, I want that rematch. I'm totally better now. I'm totally different. And that's the last time I lost. So I personally am not sure he should be next for the title shot. But he makes a very compelling argument. And maybe if Masvidal and Leon fought, then the winner of that could get the shot. That'd be pretty cool.
Let me ask you this. Do you know what's going on with your buddy Tyron Woodley? Is he injured right now?
I do know what's going on with my friend Tyron Woodley. I do know that my friend Tyron Woodley had some conversations with Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard while we were in San Antonio. And I do know that, Tyron Woodley is looking for the right opponent. Let's just say,
so he is
as a former champion,
able to fight.
Right, former champion whose only loss is to the champ now. It was his title fight. He defeated a lot of people as champion. So it's not like he's going to take a fight with a number 10 guy, number 12 guy. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect. Those fighters are on their way up. But, it has to be the right fight for Tyron.
Yeah, I think Tyron and Leon are kind of in a tough spot right now because we have Masvidal, who says he was supposedly offered the title shot with the win over Askren, which he got. So he's waiting on that title shot. Right. We also have Colby Covington and
Robbie. They're fighting in 2 weeks.
Okay, so Colby and Robbie are fighting. Both of those guys are kind of next guy in lines as well.
Sure.
Right. So now we have Leon coming off of a big win who wants to jump in the mix, and Tyron who's in the mix, but Tyron only wants a super fight.
Right.
I would be open to seeing Masvidal, first of all, fight anyone. Right. Masvidal wants the title fight. Him and Leon would be a great fight because there's bad blood there, and they're both in those good slots. Masvidal, I don't think, is going to wait for that. He wants the title. Yeah. If he takes the title and Colby and Robbie are hung up, I would like to see Tyron. I would like to see Tyron and Leon. I think that'd be a very interesting matchup to truly see where Tyron is at now. If it was a bad fight that he had in the title fight against Usman, let him go against somebody who's very well strong everywhere, as Leon is, but has not fought that elite of the elite type of opponent yet, as Tyron is. So that would be a great win on either of their parts. I know it's fighting lower for Tyron, but if he's fighting somebody on an 8-fight win streak, although they're ranked lower, and he goes out and finishes him, and goes, look, I just took out another guy. I'm the next guy in line. I was, then he could add that to his lobbying to get back to the title shot. So I think that would be interesting. Obviously, it's a bit of a traffic jam, but again, Masvidal, whoever he fights, I'm watching. But I get that he wants to wait out to fight for the belt. Yeah.
So because I think that the winner of Robbie and Colby has a very strong argument. Obviously, Colby was the interim champion. That it's hard to deny that fight. Mm-hmm. I think if Rafael dos Anjos had won, Tyron and Rafael could have fought. And I asked them about that, when they were there. And some people are so funny. Can't believe that chick is trying to matchmake again. They're so dumb. I'm like, we have 2 former champions standing here. Mm-hmm. We have 2 former champions who want to be champion again. And both of them were like, I would fight you. Like, that would be a fight that is... They were, like, respectful about it, but they were like, yes, that makes sense. Former champions fighting each other makes sense. You know what I mean? So if Rafael had won, I think that's a fight that could have happened for Tyron. I don't know if Tyron and Jorge could fight or not. I don't know if that really would make sense or not. I still like, and I know, they like to match up winners and losers. I hate to call them losers, not winners. But, like, what if Leon fought a Wonder Boy or something? Or what if, like, Wonder Boy and Ponzinibbio fought? What if Leon fought Ponzinibbio? The same kind of body, same. I think there's still, like, one more dude, or it could be Masvidal for me, for Leon. But, like, I think there's one more person I would like to see him fight to get a little closer. I'm not trying, because I think he's very good, and I think he potentially could just keep winning. But I don't know that you go from 12 to title shot. next. You know what I mean?
Well,
even though it's compelling, you have a rematch story. I just don't know if it's time yet.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, that's kind of the Tony Ferguson approach, where you have to just chip away at it. But Tony Ferguson is intriguing. Tony Ferguson, he may not sit there and give you the most. Well, he will give you the most interesting interview. You know, whatever he does, it's intriguing. Tony Ferguson is an intriguing character, much more interesting than Leon is. Just, you know, Tony Ferguson just says some wild stuff off the cuff. For Leon to jump the line, as we're talking about, he would need to be more exciting, or he would need to be a little bit crazy. If he had that intriguing, exciting personality where fans were knocking on the door to see him fight, then he could jump the line. But with the way that it is, and I really don't have a reason. He's a great fighter.
Totally.
But as I said, you go back to the social media thing, he doesn't have a strong following, and so that means that he probably doesn't have a strong following in the MMA world as well. He's not going to be jumping any lines too much. So he needs to do some strong call-outs. So he needs to do something crazy. But I respect guys being themselves.
Yeah.
I don't like when people are disingenuous of who they truly are. Yeah. But it's a fight game, and it's the entertainment business. And right now, he's not as entertaining to most of the fans as other fighters.
Yeah, it's tough because he's a real good guy, and I hope that the opportunities do come for him. The good opportunities do come for him because, you know, when you do hear his backstory and all that, there's so much positive, so many positive things about what he's made his life into, you know, and he's helping out his younger brother too, who's also trying to be a fighter. And, so just a good dude, you know what I mean? And like, it's like you said, yeah, I don't want him to start making stuff up and making up a personality, you know? But I think if you actually watch his fights and stuff, like he is entertaining. He's really good, you know? So we'll see. We'll just see what happens with that. The welterweight division, yeah, a little bit of a logjam at the top. But I want to ask you about that co-main event, big ticket. Walt Harris came in there he and Olynyk were supposed to fight before. And then Olynyk fought Alistair, and Big Ticket fought the Spivak or something when we were in Ottawa. Anyway, they finally got together. They had actually trained together in the past because I was asking him before. I'm like, dude, everybody gets choked out by Alexei. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't know that choke is coming, and they don't realize he's setting it up, and then all of a sudden they're stuck. And he said, yeah, no, I actually, we used to train together, and Alexei actually taught me like the defense to that or whatever, or, and I was like, it was very smart. So he would know if it was coming. But anyway, it never even got that close because he came out with that big knee and then, got Olynyk down, smashed him. Third fastest knockout now in heavyweight history, 12-second knockout, because Todd Duffy had a 7-second. I think Frank Mir had like a 10-second or something, and now the Big Ticket, Walt Harris in there. It was perfect. Like, you can't plan a fight better than that.
He fought the perfect fight. You said it. I mean, you're going against a slow-moving, an older fighter.
He is slow, yeah.
An older fighter who's slow-moving, and his really one go-to is the choke on the ground. Yeah. He has had a knockout before in the UFC, but when the camera hit on Walt Harris, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot how big and athletic this man was. This guy, I mean, he was bouncing around. Before the fight started, he was jumping up, bringing his knees up like he was box jumping. Right. And he was jumping like his butt was going above the top of the cage. And I was like, holy crap. Like, you have a super athlete now against a slow-moving grappler. Right. Doesn't seem like it's going to go pretty good. He uses athleticism perfectly. I mean, technique as well, but to soar into that knee, to put that knee right into his chest and then to pop him right at the end, finish him off. Perfect fight. I knew right away, though, once Olynyk went down, I saw his foot was kind of bent the wrong way, and I was kind of worried about his foot. I saw he limped out of the cage. I'd be curious to see if he blew out his ankle or his knee after the fight, because it was kind of not fully, but semi-reminiscent of when oh man, what's his name? Left leg is the hospital, or right leg is
Crow Cop.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. How can I remember that? Crow Cop. When Crow Cop got knocked out by Gonzaga.
Oh, and his knee.
And his foot went underneath, and he blew out his knee. It wasn't to the severity of that, but when he went down, when Olynyk went down, his foot was turned very awkwardly, and I remember thinking, somebody move his foot, and they didn't move his foot for like a minute until he woke up. And when he walked out of the cage, so I wouldn't be surprised let him get at if he had a broken ankle or something like that. But it was a great fight by Harris, and it makes me want to see the next match, which is a fight we're going to get into with Harris versus Hardy. Two gigantic men who are very powerful, very athletic, and let's see what happens when you put them in a cage together.
But they won't fight each other because they're friends.
Oh, who cares? Dang it. Are they friends?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are because
Damn.
when Walt came on the post show with us wearing his coonskin cap and everything, because David Crockett's from San Antonio. Like, Walt's got a lot of personality too.
I saw that.
I've gotten to know him. I went to his after party. Getting to know guys from his gym more. His coach is really like, they're a cool bunch of dudes that train out of Alabama, and I'm like, how do you guys? Is Alabama like turning? And they're like, no, trust me. It's like this great gym that, Walt, I guess, used to be at H.E.A.T and stuff. But like, so getting to know, some of these other people, like, that's one great thing about being on the road now. I'm seeing more of these guys. So I see them with their people. He's hilarious. Walt is very funny, big personality. But like you said, he's massive, right? So when I see, you don't always see the scope. And then I come down to the lobby. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. Like, this guy's massive. His shoulders are out to here. And like you said, very, very, very athletic. And his coach, we were talking, and they were like, yeah, that's exactly what we knew we could do. And they were like, look, we have such an athletic heavyweight now. It's different. He can do things that other heavyweights can't do. And I do see that trend, right? I feel like Stipe was kind of one of the first of them more like fit and trim athletic guys. Travis Brown, too, was slimmer, you know what I mean? And brought a different kind of look to the heavyweight division than we had seen in the past. And I do think that's the way it's going. And Walt has a lot of upside to him. You know what I mean? It's like this guy is starting to get things clicking together. He's doing really well, but he's got what we want from a fighter: personality and ability, which I think is going to take him really far. But yeah, the Greg Hardy thing when he was at the desk. They got in my ear and they were like, hey, when Dominic Cruz was, on the fight or talking on SportsCenter after, he suggested, Walt and Greg. And so I asked him, and he's like, no. He's like, that's my boy. Greg's my boy. He's like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Man, I mean, he says that, and I respect that. But you guys are in a heavyweight division, a very small division, and a division that once you show that you have the ability to perform or knock people out, or you've established yourself, you move up very quickly. And both guys put on great performances. At first, when Hardy was getting these co-main event slots, I was like, why is this guy with 2 fights under his belt getting slots? But look, I'm a believer now. I'm a believer as far as he's better than half of the roster in the heavyweight. I want to see him against a true test now. Because he's smoking these guys. And he does have some type of X factor, Hardy. That at first I was thinking he was fighting soup cans the way that they were laying down, but now he's fighting guys and he's doing something. It must be the power, it must be the athleticism. It's something that's making guys make wrong decisions. His opponent that night made a poor choice. He was holding onto that single leg on his hip. He should never be on his hip unless he's trying to pull deep half guard. He should have got up to his knees right away and tried to run the double or something, but he sat there and took about 50 punches to the side of the head. So if he was out or not, he was doing a stupid move which caused the ref to stop the fight. And I think it all stemmed from the power of Hardy and knowing, oh crap, I just made this beast mad, and now this guy's on top of me raining down fury, and I don't know what to do. So Hardy has something. And Harris has something special. I really like Harris. The interviews,
Me too.
The clothing, I like his personality. I like his fighting style. He's fun. He doesn't have to lick the blood and say, look, I'm a crazy bird. He's like, I'm a funny guy. I'm cool. I'm athletic. So I enjoyed him. But yeah, they don't have to fight right away. That's fine. But they're in a division where there's not going to be many choices coming up. And they both just had a pretty easy victory on the same date. So they're both going to be looking for their next fight in about 2 or 3 months on the same date as well. So that friendship might have to be put on the side for a little while.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's guys like the Black Beast you could put in there with Walt or something like that, which could be entertaining.
What happened to the Black Beast? I feel like he fought a ton of times, and now he just wants to drive his Lamborghinis around and spend his money.
He needs a break, right? Because he did fight a lot, and I know he had some injuries. I don't have the whole roster atop of my head, but what if you put one of Walt? I don't know. I don't know that they're ready. If Walt's ready for an Overeem type of guy.
The Overeem, I was gonna say it. I'd like to see it. One of these established guys. He might
be. It could be cool. But
someone that's not gonna make a stupid mistake. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But I agree with you that that Greg definitely has something. And I asked him, because we talk about, obviously, he's a former Pro Bowl football player. He's got incredible athleticism, but where does, sometimes when you're not technically good, athleticism will help you get by, right? Mm-hmm. And so when are you starting to get these two things together where they're equal, right. And where your skill set is actually coming up to where your athletic ability is? Yeah. And so he said, I guess, what did he say? He gave himself like a C+ or something like that, like in terms of that. But, he's working at American Top Team and getting better and better to him. He did take a heck of a punch himself in that one. Juan did get him with something. But I agree with you, like holding on to that single leg, 30 unanswered shots, and it was like, dude, you got to do something. You got to do something. And I had said in there, I tweeted, I'm like, people are going to debate that because they're going to debate the fact that maybe like Juan wasn't out or anything, right? He wasn't out. But he didn't do anything to respond, right? And you can't 100%. Just not respond. And I don't understand what his thought process was there to stay on that so bad and just eat those punches. I really just didn't understand why he did that.
He, sorry, I lost you there for a second. Yeah. He was not out, but that was not a debatable stoppage.
No, I don't think so.
At the least, not in my opinion.
No.
He, from the beginning, as soon as he went to the ground, I thought this guy, first of all, the reason he did not continue, because he was in La La Land. He was not out, but he was in La La Land. Those right. heavy punches to the side of the head were just sending him. He didn't know what to do at the time. But as soon as he went to the ground, he held on to his single leg, and he stayed on his hip. You have no power in a takedown on your hip unless you're trying to say, like, pull deep half guard. If he had jumped to both knees right away and tried to run the double or something, that would make sense. But right away, he was making the wrong move. So he wasn't intelligently either defending himself or intelligently fighting smart. And then when he went to both knees, 20 more punches, by that time, it was a little too late. So, yeah, nothing debatable about that. He was not out, but he was saying pretty much, get me out of here in one sense or the other.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's tough. I know a lot of people are still not Greg Hardy fans, but the guy keeps winning, and he's doing what's asked of him in the organization, and like for that,
I agree. If I'm Dana White, I'm pretty happy with myself right now because Dana took some heat. Picking this guy up. Greg Hardy's past, there was a lot of gyms that didn't want to touch him. A lot of gyms said, no, we don't want this guy here. It's bad publicity. Right. Dana White stepped up and said, I'm going to bring him on. Brought him on. Signed him, and not only did he sign him, but he started pushing him. The UFC was pushing Hardy, showing his promos on social media, putting him in co-main event slots right away, and he's proving himself. Greg Hardy is proving himself to be a force to be reckoned with. A guy that I think he's easily marketable too. He's got a little bit of a cringe factor to him because he kind of tries to be like too tough, and it doesn't. To me, he doesn't look like a warrior in a way, although he fights like one. But you can see that he's new, so he's trying. He's like, I'm going to do the beat. I'm going to lick the blood. Right. I'm going to scream. I'm going to say I'm the best in the world. And I get it. He's excited about it. He's like a kid in a candy store. Look what I can do. I can beat the crap out of people, and I'm very good at it. But Dana White has to be very happy. He said, look, I took a chance. I took a gamble. I went against my better judgment or what people were telling me not to do. Right. And I did it, and he's performing. He's firing on cylinders. I don't think I've seen Greg Hardy out of the first round yet since he's been in the UFC. Have we seen him out of the first round?
I think his last fight was, but I can't remember.
The one fight that he was DQ'd might have been the first time.
Right.
That fight that he was DQ'd.
Alan Crowder,
Exactly. But nonetheless, he's putting on he's doing exactly what he needed to do to win Dana White over, to reassure Dana White for his decision, and to start slowly bringing over the fan base. Because he's a guy that's not going to get fans right away because of how he came into the sport. Right. But I think he's slowly bringing them in because of his performance.
Well, and also he comes with crossover appeal. Like, so football fans know him, and they might be curious. So, I mean, it's a very calculated move to promote Greg Hardy because you draw in a football audience who maybe didn't already get into fighting as much. So, it does totally make sense. I have to ask you, what you took away from the Alexander Hernandez-Francisco Trinaldo fight, because Trinaldo thought he was robbed. Alexander actually even said after, like, I think it probably could have gone either way. I know a lot of people think he got the hometown cooking because he is from San Antonio. I thought it was an incredibly close fight. It could have been a draw. I would have been happy. Like, if either guy won, I would have been happy. I actually don't see it as a robbery for Trinaldo. But Alexander also fully admitted, he's like, or rather Tyron and I were talking about, he's like, it's so hard to look good against him. A counterpuncher and his Trinaldo style, it's really hard to look good. So you maybe didn't see Alexander looking good as he's looked in other victories that he's had, right? Mm-hmm. But so I can't like get really, really mad about that fight. I'm like, yeah, it was really, 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 really close. And yeah. Like,
I somewhat agree. I'd have to go back and watch the fight and really break it down. But watching the fight, I thought it was a close fight. I did think that Hernandez was backing up a lot of the fight, where Trinaldo was he was engaging and doing more. So I think
especially that second round, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because Hernandez was I thought Trinaldo was doing very well. But when it went to decision, I remember thinking I didn't score this fight.
Right.
But watching the two fighters there with the referee, as the judges' scorecards were about to be called, you could see Trinaldo was very confident. Like, yes, I did the damn thing. I'm here. Right. That's right. I was the underdog. And Hernandez looked defeated. Yeah. And so, in my mind, look, the judges' scorecards have already been written down and turned in. But fighters know. Like, damn it. Like, no matter how you're scoring a fight, if a fighter feels like, damn, I lost that fight, then he probably lost that fight. Because even though from judging it a different way, it may not have looked like, but you really did enough to win the fight on a point system. In my heart, it's more like how the fighter feels. And if you feel like you got your ass kicked or you feel like you won, that's probably the more correct decision. And I have never seen such a yin and a yang, such a contrast in body language in the fight. What's his name?
Francisco Trinaldo.
Trinaldo was just so confident, and Hernandez was so defeated. I was like, okay, can we just stop it right here and then let the judges rescore it? Because you can see right here, he's admitting that he lost this fight. So he was shocked. He even did the whole, like, when they called his name, Hernandez, he was like,
wait, who?
Oh, yeah, okay, cool, I'll take it. And so whatever, it's one of those fights. It was a close one. But I'm not mad at it. I don't think it was a highway robbery. But when you see the fighters like that, you feel bad for Trinaldo.
Yeah, you do. But luckily, I will say that Alexander is a bright kid, and
he's very bright, very intelligent.
Bright kid, conscientious kid. And the fact that he was saying that, it could have gone his way, and I think he took the win in humility, which is the right way to do it when it's that kind of thing. You don't win and then be like all braggadocious, when it's something close like that. Yeah. So on to the next one for both those guys. I think Alexander definitely has a great, great, great future. Dan Hooker.
Man.
Dude. Comes down underneath, bang, like perfectly placed. And I asked him, it's like, to me, with James being so tall, it was like the perfect thing. Get him to come down a little bit, you know what I mean? And then just go right upstairs. He's like ripe, wide open for that, because James doesn't always move his head.
Hooker is dope. I gotta say. I mean, I love watching this guy fight. He's a warrior. He's good everywhere. He's got like a swag about him too, man. He's got a confidence that I'm picking up on, and I really like it. He's very confident in himself. He'll go in there and stand toe to toe with people. I was a little worried going into this fight, though, Karyn. I was a little worried that the beating, I don't want to say the beating, but the damage that he took in his previous fight versus Barboza, that might have punched a couple holes in his ticket. Did that rattle his brain a little bit too much? Did that open up some soft spots in the shins and the legs that's never going to fully heal? That, would he be able to perform at the same caliber, the same level moving forward? Because that was such a damaging fight. It was one of those fights that it's like you knew that they could have put Hooker down. I'm referring to the Barboza fight. Yeah. You knew that they could have just kind of pulled the plug on this a little early, but he took damage for like an extra 5 minutes, a lot of damage before they pulled the plug, before he got knocked out against Barboza. And I was like, damn, it's like, you don't want to throw the towel in, but the guy was basically walking on like one leg, taking shot after shot, and then the inevitable happened. And I said, man, this is one of those fights that people worried, kind of like Bryant Ortega. Like, well, man, did Bryant Ortega take too much? Is he going to be changed? Is he going to be different? Hooker showed no side effects from that fight. He came in, looked very confident, stood toe-to-toe, delivered a beautiful knockout. It's Vick that I think we should be talking about now. I think it's Vick. What happens next for him? Does he stay at 55? Because I really believe that after this fight, we're going to hear talks of him going up to welterweight. Yeah. And it may or may not be the case that it was a weight cut thing. what I'm getting at is I think that he's going to fare better at 55, and he might say, you know what, the weight cut was taking the water out of my brain, and this is a part. Or he might just say, that's not the case, but I'm going to try my ground at 70. But he looks so dehydrated, skinny, not recovered at 55, and to suffer 2 out. When he goes out, man, he goes out like a light.
Right.
He's got to start thinking about other divisions, I think, in my mind.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because Gaethje dropped him like that too, and
yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah, it could just be that, like you said, there's just not enough water anymore, and it's just making him more susceptible to being knocked out. But I agree with you about Hooker. Like, if you aren't a Hooker fan, like, that dude is awesome. And I agree with you about the swagger thing. I don't know if part of it is, he trains with Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
They're tight, you know what I mean? And so it's like, there's no way that swagger's not going to rub off on you and stuff. I already was a fan, but I don't know if like Hooker's just he's defining himself as one of those guys that's like a must-see fight, right? So he got another win bonus the other night. Another performance bonus.
Good for him.
And he is a guy that you have to watch now. And also this fight I thought was fun because it was Dan the Hangman Hooker versus the Texecutioner. There, you know what I mean? Like the nickname war was good. Everything about it was good. But yeah, Dan is awesome. Just great fight for him, and I don't know who's next. Luckily, the lightweight division has so many solid people.
Kind of fights,
that almost anybody you put him with, it's like this guy's going to be money now, and hopefully they keep giving him strikers too, right? I mean, I don't want to see anybody just try to lay on him. I hope they give us fan-friendly fights with him and strikers more.
When you said that, it brought up. I remember when the fighters were about to come out and they were showing the highlight of them both. I did not realize that Hooker had finished Gilbert Burns. I believe in the highlight I saw Hooker had fought Gilbert Burns, and I think he finished him. That's what the highlight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a knockout, pretty fast. Yeah,
which is phenomenal because Gilbert is a monster, and they're one of the best grapplers we have in the UFC. And as you're saying, you hope you don't want to see people lay on him, but for him to go through a guy like Gilbert says that, look, he could stop the grapplers as well. Right. So, yeah, anybody he fights, I'm signing up to watch. Fun guy. Good thing he got the bonus. I think it was a deserving bonus with that knockout, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again, man. He's a fun fighter.
He really is. That was his 12th first-round knockout.
Wow.
Boom!
12 first round. That's one of those things that will always be on the page. Anytime the matchmaker or the color commentator is doing their homework, they're looking at that.
Exactly. Well, yeah, 12th first-round finish, I should say. But
there you go.
But out of his 11 wins or whatever, it was like 9 of them were knockouts. So he's a finisher. Let's just put it that way. And then the last one on there that I had picked this one correctly too, and so did you. We both thought Andrei Arlovski. We get the win. But here's the thing. That third round, I was like, dude, do not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. You won this fight. Get on your bicycle and get away from Ben Rothwell, because even though Ben looked like a zombie and his nose was trash and all of this stuff, one punch and you're done. So I was like, what is Arlovski doing? I mean, like, the fan of, I'm sure, is like, cool, they're still throwing down, but like the part of you that's like, dude, that's not smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was close. I mean, it was first of all, I didn't think it was going to be a toe-to-toe fight of the night type of performance between these two big heavyweights. They stood in the pocket. They traded blows the entire fight. But I agree, Arlovski kind of just he was winded at the very end. He gassed himself out. He was hitting Ben with a lot of shots, and it just wasn't backing Ben up.
Right.
It was damaging him. It was hurting him. But when somebody's still walking forward and their face is busted up, but they're continuing to put the pressure on you, it gasses you, it tires you. And then, yes, like you said, Ben started seeing, you could see a spark in his eye that he caught Arlovski a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it looked like Arlovski was about to be finished, or not finished, but he could be leading himself into a situation where he was going to get hurt and going to get finished. And I was thinking the exact same thing as you. I was like, come on, dude. Like, I'm not really rooting for one or the other.
Right.
But, like, both men put on a spectacular fight. Arlovski was clearly ahead the entire fight.
Right.
But he's about to give it away at the very end. Just keep your hands up and stick and move and do something. But fun fight, man. I mean, those guys got busted up. They're going to need a lot of time to recover. But a great performance. Do you know, did they ended up getting fight of the night, or do you know who
No,
got
Mario Bautista and Jinsu Sun got the fight of the night from the prelims, and that was a fantastic fight.
Hey, good job on saying both of those names. Yeah. That was impressive. Yeah, I didn't see that one. I didn't get to see that one.
It was great. It was cats in a bag, like two.
Oh yeah.
It was high paced. They didn't stop. They're bantams.
Bantamweights, gotcha.
Yeah. Because they're bantams, and it was really, really fun. It just like it was nonstop. Oh, you got it, I got it, you got it, I got it, you got it, I got it. You know what I mean? It was
fun back and forth.
Really, really good, really, really good. But nice. Arlovski, I actually kind of was rooting for him. Like that, that there's a party that still wants the old school dudes, and Ben has been around forever too. But Arlovski with the nose and the look and the fangs, and it's Arlovski. Like
it was a very now Arlovski fight, meaning that Arlovski has become pretty much a very pocket boxer. He's in the pocket. He's in the pocket. He's boxing. Not everything is a knockout punch anymore. He's not really using the athleticism that he had in his youth when Arlovski was champion, and he was this big, imposing, athletic, mean figure. He's not really that guy anymore. He's a guy that said, "I'm a crafty veteran, and I'm gonna pop you. Use my boxing, use my footwork, use my speed, because he still has the speed." At this age, at least against Ben, that he had the speed advantage. So he used that to his advantage, but he just couldn't put Ben away.
Right.
And, man, Ben is just a tough son of a gun. But it's funny. These guys fought 11 years ago to the day or something that it was. But for Ben, it wasn't a great recall. I mean, two losses, same guy, 11 years apart. But fun fight nonetheless, man. I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. Well, and Walt Harris already beat Andrei before too. So when we're talking, if you're starting to run names through your brain, Walt and Andrei already fought, and Walt beat him. So
yeah, I could see that happening too, because Arlovski is very good at what he does, but Walt has the X factor in that athleticism and the size, and it'd be tough for Arlovski to really get in there on him and do what he did against somebody who's so mobile like Walt.
So question for you, before we start to preview just Frankie and Max, Alex Caceres won the feature prelim fight, and he did it with a broken hand. And I know you've broken your hand in a fight before, and I'm just curious if you could sort of take us inside your mindset when that happens, right? Because he knows it's broken, but I don't know if you don't know if your opponent knows it. So if you don't throw it at all, then you're giving 100%. Something away. So we were like, okay, maybe he could just switch to throwing elbows or something. But so how do you in your brain debate, knowing every time you throw it, you're going to want to vomit, but you got to play up to the fact that you can't let the opponent see your weakness?
Yeah, what's interesting? I'll put you on my brain, because when I was watching it, this is what was going on in my head. I was thinking to myself, everybody deals with injuries very differently. Everybody's body types are different, and sometimes injuries, even though you might have both broken the same hand, it's a different type of injury. The reason I say that, when I broke my hand, I heard a loud crunch, and then I hit him with it again about a minute later.
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure. And it crunched even more. And I go, holy crap, I think I just broke another bone, because I broke two bones, and I think I fractured one and broke one, and then when I hit him with it again, it snapped the other one. So it was a very, very unpleasant second punch with my left hand. After that, I went to the corner, same thing. Okay, you got two elbows, you're fine, keep going. You got 7 other weapons, whatever it is. But I could not throw that left hand. And for the life of me, every time I saw the opening, I could not get myself to do it, because I knew it was very painful, and I didn't want to break any more bones. I didn't know what was going on in there. So I'm thinking about that watching this fight. But every time when he broke his hand, and when we were aware of it, when he went back to the corner and told him, he went back in there and started throwing body shots. I go, wow, that's ballsy of him. He's throwing the body shots. It's a softer target, as they alluded to that on air. But it's still hitting. It's still hitting like a punching bag. It's not hard, but it still hurts. And then he started hitting him in the face with it again. And I was shocked. I was like, man, it just goes to show different people are able to do different things, and they feel pain differently, and they recover differently. And so I thought he played it up perfect. He threw it just enough to not really let his opponent know that there was a weakness, or if his opponent knew there was a weakness, he let him know, you know what, I'm not going to just give you an open shot. I'm still going to hit you with it. And I tell you what, I felt like he was landing the left hand more after it was broken than he was before, because it was open. There was times on the clinch, on the breakaway of the clinch, he would hit him with the left hand. So I thought he did a very smart job. He toughed through it, A, and then B, he used his kicks, he used his footwork, and he still threw the left hand just enough to get through it. So a great performance, especially having that injured hand the entire time.
Yeah, it was. Well, so like we said, we made our picks before. We both went 5-1. The only one I got wrong was the main event.
Yeah.
And you picked wrong on...
I took a wild card on a gamble on that one, but yeah, with the Hardy one.
You went with the Kraken. Hey, listen, he came on our show in the romper, which, folks, I need to let you know, was my idea.
Really?
I had seen Juan in the hotel the night before, and I don't know how it came up, and he showed me this picture in the romper, and I was like, dude, you have got to wear that on the show tomorrow, because I knew he was coming on the show. I was like, you have to wear that on the show tomorrow. Please, 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 wear that on the show tomorrow. He said it, and I'm like, and pick your hair out like massive. You know what I mean?
Do it up,
You gotta like take over that set with their hair. So all of a sudden we're doing the show, and Tyron could see him from his angle more because I'm looking ahead at the camera, and the guests are coming from this side, and Tyron's a little more turned, and all of a sudden he just is like laughing, and he's like, "Oh my God," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes, he wore the romper." So he comes out in the romper, and I don't know if you've seen the clip, like the ESPN site or MMA account put it out. T Would reshared it. Juan is massive, right? He has to cut
Big
to
man.
make the 266 limit. And he is in this big, huge romper. And the one button here is like, it's so funny because it was about to pop, you know what I mean? And so Tyron points it out, and then we're like,
I was glad he
put
did
an eye
that.
out with that thing, and it goes flying off. It's so funny, but like Juan, and we were laughing because like Juan even said, he's like, holy crap, like my social media is blowing up because everybody just thought that was so funny, and like what a great visual and all this stuff. And not for nothing, but every now and then, have a little bit of an idea of what could make a show more interesting or make you stand out or whatever, which is a huge part of this game, which we know. And I just want to applaud Juan for having the nerve to actually come up to the set in that romper because it was amazing.
I agree. I think it's genius. The thing is, if you could laugh at yourself enough that the confidence do it. And by the way, not for nothing, if your man does anything kind of silly or wears anything kind of funny, it makes it a little more entertaining. So Juan is a huge guy.
Huge.
That romper was struggling. I love that Tyron called out the button about to pop because I saw the same thing. But exactly, pick the throw route, do anything to set yourself apart, man, because it makes it intriguing. It's probably, I did see that earlier, and it's probably part of the reason that I picked him in that fight. You're like, man, this is a big dude, and he had confidence that he could take down Hardy. Let me go with him. Let me see what happens. I lost that gamble, but it made him more memorable in my eyes.
Yeah, a good time. Well, so this weekend, obviously there are more fights. Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar are fighting. Cris Cyborg and Felicia Spencer are fighting. When it comes to Max, I almost never bet against him. I don't think at this point, I don't bet against Max Holloway. I don't necessarily know that I would in this case either, but Frankie Edgar is the guy that you're like, oh, tell Frankie he can't do something. Yeah, you go tell Frankie he can't do something. Do you know what I mean? And Frankie's the dude that'll do it. So I honestly don't know what will happen. My heart and everything says it's going to just be Max. It's just going to be Max. But my brain is like, Frankie's that dude that can just pull something off that he's not supposed to do.
I'm going to go with your heart on this one with Max Holloway. Okay. It is Frankie. It is Frankie Edgar. It's the guy that always proves people wrong. That he, as we've spoken about this before on UFC Now, probably the best in the UFC at putting punches to takedowns. And if you have a chance at beating Max, it's probably going to have to be somewhere on the ground. We saw what Frankie Edgar did to who's the Taekwondo
Bryant.
Fighter that was to who's that?
Well, he beat. You mean Yair Rodriguez?
Thank you very much. We saw what Frankie did to an explosive, long, rangy, young fighter with good footwork like Rodriguez. So that's, I think, would be the key to victory for Frankie, trying to get Max on the ground. Maxie Baby's got great takedown defense, good, knows how to use his punches. But, I would stay with Max on this one. The one that A1 common opponent would be our former, man, I'm blanking on everybody's name today, but our former champion.
Brian Ortega, they both fought as well. And Ortega knocked out Frankie. He was the first one to knock him out. But then we know that Max beat Brian.
Great point. Aside from Brian Ortega, why can't I think of Scarface's real name all of a sudden?
Aldo.
Aldo. Oh, my God. How can I forget Aldo's names? It must be early today.
You get 5 demerits for that. Aldo's a god.
I know. I feel really – it's like a lot of guys' names I forget, but, to forget Aldo's name, I genuinely feel bad right now.
That's, offensive to me.
I know. I'm shocked. I'm like, the guy with the scar on the face has been fighting for 15 years. Jose Aldo, thank you very much. With Josie, like you see that what Max was able to do with him. You know, he was the better fighter. He just is the better fighter. And correct me if I'm wrong, was it UFC 200 that Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar fought?
Yes.
And Jose Aldo was just too much for Frankie. Yes. And I see a little bit of what I'm getting at, not doing the MMA math, but a little bit of a better version of Jose Aldo, which is Max Holloway doing the same thing to Frankie Edgar, not being able to take him down, because they both, Jose Aldo and Max Holloway, have tremendous takedown defense, and they both have explosive long-range striking. And so I see a little bit of that same thing playing out again.
All right. I can see it kind of. I think Max will be and still. But also Cyborg, you know, looking to get back on track. She lost, obviously, to Amanda. So she is not the champion. This will be the first time that this woman is going into a fight as not a champion. You know, it's been a very long time. Or even if she's like the uncrowned champion, you know what I mean? But, you know, Felicia beat Megan Anderson, took her down, was able to submit her. It's definitely a striker versus a grappler affair. I don't know. You know, we haven't really seen Cris come off a loss. She lost fighting in Muay Thai. But it'll be interesting to see how she performs. And I feel like this is a tough spot for Felicia, because I feel like, you know, Cyborg was already so tremendously imposing and so tremendously just amazing and just obliterated women other than Amanda. And coming off a loss, is she going to be so much even more reinvigorated to just go smash somebody and reclaim her dominant position? That I don't know. I wouldn't want to be anybody anywhere near a Cyborg fight right now. Like, I would not want to be on the receiving end of a woman who's mad about losing a fight and coming into another one.
You never want to be on the opposite side of a cage against Cyborg. You know, no matter if it's Amanda Nunes or not, you know what you're getting into.
Right.
Felicia, I'm not that familiar with her at all, to be honest. And that's just me personally. Some other fighters or fans maybe know a lot more about her, but I'm not that familiar with her. But it just has the feel. It has the feel to me, as all the fights did with Cyborg, before the Amanda Nunes fight, where it's like, this could be a slaughtering. This could be a slaughtering again. And so it's got that feel again. Felicia, prove me wrong. I'm Amanda. I'm a Cyborg fan.
Yeah.
But I just want to see a great fight. I just want to see a fun fight. For Cyborg, she does need to go out there and maul somebody again to get that mystique back about her. That was lost a little bit in the Amanda Nunes fight. But I don't know why this came to mind when you were talking about it. Ronda Rousey's got to be one person that had to be pretty satisfied probably with the Cyborg Amanda Nunes fight. When you think about that fight and how it went down for Ronda Rousey. And to see somebody as strong and ferocious and big as Cyborg get dropped even faster or around the same time. It probably was faster. That was a pretty quick fight. It just shows what kind of power Amanda Nunes carries, because Cyborg, I've never seen her knocked out. I watched that Muay Thai fight, that Lion fight, Muay Thai fight years ago that she lost. And she fought a very tall girl who's just out-techniquing her. But we've never seen somebody go into Cyborg's world of brawling, stand toe-to-toe, and go punch for punch with Cyborg. That's unheard of. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Amanda did it. Cyborg's got to be pissed about that. She needs to come back and impose her will in a smart way, but impose her will again and get that fan base back behind her once again.
But I will say, what I love about Felicia is, well, lovely girl. I met her in Rochester, and she's so friendly and so just really lovely girl. And this is a great opportunity for her, and she has nothing to lose, right? And that's the whole thing is like, Cyborg has so much more pressure on her, so much more pressure. And Felicia just gets to go in there and let it go and see what happens. If she loses, no big whoop, because 99% of the other people have lost to Cyborg as well. If she does win, that's phenomenal and immediately fast tracks her to a title shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she has everything to gain in this situation with this opportunity. And if you look at like what she's saying on social media, I think she seems ready mentally and all this stuff for what's ahead of her. And we know just how crazy this fight game is. You know what I mean? And we haven't really seen Cyborg on the ground ever, right? Like, it's been a minute. Holly, I guess maybe Holly had her down for a little bit. I'm trying to remember, but if Felicia can get her down, like, it will be interesting to see if the fight can play out somewhere other than the feet, where Cris is always so dominant.
Yeah, it'll be a big test for her, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. So Well, I think we have a UFC Now that'll be coming out this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on that one. I got to check my schedule on UFC Now.
I know. I'm saying we filmed it before. I think we did.
Oh, on this one, yeah.
Yeah. We're previewing this stuff, so
yeah.
That should be on Fight Pass if it's not already out there. People could also see us, and I think we did this one with Tatiana, right? Suarez, I think.
Yep, you're right.
Was on this one with us, so look for that. But yeah, yeah, that's about it. I'm home for this one. I don't have to go to Edmonton, but I will be going to Newark in a couple of weeks. So
there you go.
Until then, I can be found at KB Heat on Instagram. Now, we did have a Max Holloway lunch. So the other day when I was flying to San Antonio, Wade was going to have lunch with Maxie Baby. That's on MMAHeat.com, and obviously he talks all about the fight and everything, leading up to it, the loss to Dustin, all that stuff. Everything gets covered.
Yeah.
And, Max is so cool. Max tells it is what it is. You know what I mean? Max is always great. So definitely people should look for that to get ready for that fight. But yeah, so that's on MMAHeat.com. You can follow me, Karyn Bryant, on Twitter. KB Heat on Instagram, and where can they find you?
Cool. Yeah, follow me as well, guys, at Alan Jouban on all social media. Go ahead and check it out.
Cool. And I was about to say, these are also all available as audio downloads on MMA.audio. So that does it. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Cool. Take care, guys.